This meeting to order. It is 1:17. Welcome, everybody. Public Infrastructure, Environment, and Sustainability, PIES Committee meeting for Monday, July 25th. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Nay? Great, thank you. First up is CTAB appointment interview with Lindsay Shaw. Actually, it's going to be Mike Piccolo.
Oh, do you need to do the boards and commissions interview?
I don't see any boards or commissions. I just see CTAB appointment, which is a board.
It's an interview.
The interview.
Shaw is there.
Isn't Mike going to, are you going to facilitate that?
No, Lindsay's here.
Oh, okay.
It's a council appointment.
Sorry.
Oh,
I'm Stephen Rodriguez, but I got the email back.
Okay. So is Lindsay here?
I don't see Lindsay.
So Mike, any,
no, it's not. It's not they're council appointments.
I know that,
So
but I have down as, all right.
yeah, so but it sounds like Stefan is here. Can we go ahead and just interview
Sure.
him? That is
Come on up.
your appointment to CTAP.
Come on up, Stefan. Sorry for the confusion.
I don't know.
Do you want to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you?
My name is Stephan Rodriguez. I moved to Spokane in 2016 from Las Vegas. Most of that time was spent delivering pizzas or doing other kinds of driving jobs and struggling to keep the people close to me from losing what little they have.
Any questions?
What interested you in this appointment?
Transportation in cities is one of those things that affects everyone, whether they know or like it or not. I live on Northwest Boulevard, about smack in the middle between Monroe and Maple. A few weeks ago, I was sitting at home in my room and I noticed that I had significantly less stress than I normally did, and I wasn't sure why that was for a bit. And then I looked out my window and I realized there wasn't any traffic on Northwest, and then I looked down the street and up the street a bit and I realized that the whole street for about 4 blocks was blocked off by police. And I'm not entirely sure whether I would pick traffic or having my street blocked off for unknown reasons by police.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for wanting to get involved, and Northwest Boulevard is one of my big issues. I'm hoping that in the future we can look at some ways to make it safer and more biker-friendly and pedestrian-friendly and slow people down, because it really has been an issue. But I'm glad you applied. I heard that you had a good interview, and I just want to thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Glad to be here.
Go ahead, Zach.
Councilmember Stratton, were you not going to ask your go-to question?
He's from Las Vegas.
Oh, okay.
I usually ask people where they went to high school, but you said in the beginning you were from Las Vegas. You didn't go to high school in Spokane, did you?
Oh.
Okay, sorry. I'll think of another question for people coming from outside of the city.
Any questions
Which
from
high school
Council
is your
President?
favorite?
Well, I actually lived in Spokane when I was a lot younger, funny enough, just a couple blocks away from where I live now.
Okay.
And so I was really young when I lived in Spokane when I was a lot younger, and I only lived here for about a year. But with what little I remember, it's interesting to be able to compare what I remember about living in the area from the way it is now and how it's changing. And when I look at things like civil infrastructure or buildings around me, I pay very close attention to the way that the thing is shaped that tells the story of the way it used to be shaped. Like High Drive going up the South Hill, you look at it, you can tell it used to be a 4 or 5 lane wide arterial, and now it's just a 2-lane wide arterial. I think being able to see the history in things is interesting.
And then plan for the future.
Thanks very much. We appreciate you putting yourself out there and volunteering. It's a commitment that we appreciate, especially from younger folks, so thanks. And I understand that Lindsay is here now. Is that right? There you are. Come on up and introduce yourself. Yes, please. And I promise we won't bite.
Okay.
Well, some of us might, but I won't.
Yes, she will.
Well, hello. My name's Lindsay Shaw, and I live in the Logan neighborhood. I'm the chair there, and I also work at the Northeast Community Center. My heart's in my community, so happy to be here.
Tell us about what prompted you to volunteer for this position.
Well, I joined the PET committee, I think in 2017 or 18, and roalized that it was complex. It's not just about arterials or roadways. It's really about bicycle ways, sidewalks, and as a mom pushing a stroller, a double stroller, trying to navigate sidewalk scoops or none, I just realized that we could possibly work on our city and make it more user-friendly.
Any questions for Lindsay? Go ahead.
Yeah, I would just add that I think Lindsay does a great job as the chair of the Logan neighborhood, and I think you would serve incredibly well in this role. I mean, you're a strong advocate. You do a great job of communicating to your constituents in the neighborhood what's going on, and so you were one of the first names I thought of when they were asking for recommendations. So,
Thank you, Michael.
yeah.
Any other questions? All right, you got off light. Thank you so much. Thank you for your willingness to volunteer. It's very much appreciated.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, let's move on to appointment of Rick Hughes as Solid Waste Collections Manager. Now it's Mike Piccolo. Oh, it's not. It's Marlene. All right.
So, thank you, Council. This would be a request for Council to approve the appointment, to confirm the appointment for a Solid Waste Collections Manager of Rick Hughes. So this position was vacated early this year. It was held by Dustin Bender, who moved and accepted a job in Texas. So we had an opportunity to look for a replacement for that position. We did have, close to 30 applicants. We interviewed 8 for the first round and had 2 finalists. Rick was then selected, and his name was forwarded to the mayor, who has done that appointment, and so we would be seeking council's confirmation of that. Rick's been a 28-year employee of the solid waste collection utility. He's done a great job in the interim role for the last, half a year. He has been, for most recently, serving with commercial customers, and so he has a great relationship with a lot of our customers on a first name basis. So he's been a great constant there and gets along well with the other supervisors and foremen in the utility. So we think this is a good choice for us.
Questions for Marlene? Go ahead.
Marlene, I just want to say thank you. It is so good to see employees that have been here a long time have opportunities to move up and to show that they have the experience and the history with the city to do a good job. And I would just really appreciate it.
Yeah,
Thanks.
yeah, he's going to be a great choice.
Thank you so much. Anybody else? Okay. And Hanley, do I need 2 sponsors for this?
I believe it is a resolution that will be coming forward, so it does need 2 sponsors.
Does need 2 sponsors. So Councilmember Stratton and Bingle. Okay. Thank you. Great, thank you. And next, we have Eldon Alley Vacation Application.
Good afternoon. I'll center that a little better. This proposed alley vacation's up in the northeast part of town. It's an alley between Everett and Sanson from Julia to Myrtle. The applicants up there just had a lot of issue. It's an unimproved alley with people walking through there in crime, so they like to actually block that one off. You can kind of see at both ends on either side, it's already been vacated, so it looks like a good candidate to be vacated. There is just one utility that's got some facilities in there, which is a Vista, so they just want an easement for the west 130 feet for a pole that they've got back in there. Other than that, we don't have any city utilities. This was platted in 1900, was actually annexed in 1907, so it meets the criteria for the non-user statute where we could vacate it at no cost. So I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Questions for Eldon? Okay, I do have one. Eldon, in situations like this, where alley is blocked off, do fire response folks have access, or can they get access in case they need to get back there for any reason?
In some cases not. Usually those alleys anyway are not wide enough to go down them, but if
Okay.
they had to, I mean, this one I think's 12, 14 feet, so it's not really wide enough for a
Okay.
truck.
Okay.
And normally they don't use them.
Okay.
And so the applicants do have the chance to go in there and actually put a fence down the middle or whatever, but if we do have any type of need for an access, we try to work that out going through the process.
Okay, so you would let us know if. that-
Yep.
Okay, super.
Councilmember Kinnear?
Go ahead.
Eldon, is that an unpaved alleyway?
Yes.
It is, okay, thank you.
So you won't have any closure work at either end to, usually when you have some type of a paved access in there, we try to actually close it off where you show it as private by putting some type of a concrete apron, but they don't have that in this case.
We need 2 sponsors for this as well. Councilmember Cathcart and Bingle. Thank you. Thanks, Eldon.
Thank you.
And then next up is Councilmember Zapone. You're going to talk about ADU report resolution.
Yeah, this is a pretty straightforward, simple resolution that when we voted on ADUs, I said I'd bring up, that just asks the planning department to report annually about how many ADUs are being built, where they're being built at. Talked to Spencer in the planning department. They gave a little feedback just saying they request it to be for the first 3 years to get the first idea, not being an ongoing indefinite thing. So we'll probably update that there, but they didn't see an issue with that in the application or anything about that.
Any questions? Go ahead.
So with that, if we decided to only do this, I'm mixing things up. Strike that.
Okay, easy.
What,
Okay, go ahead.
just in terms of the data that's being reported back, is it just how many and kind of where they've been
There.
built?
I think that's the main concern. It's addressing the concern that developers are going to pick certain neighborhoods is the main concern, but I think we could get a full
But
80.
geography would be part of
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I was like, we could ask for information about sizes too.
Yeah, I mean,
I
I think
think-
it'd be interesting to see kind of what that range is of sizes that people
Yeah.
are building to.
I think it's generally just important for us to see is our ADU changes that we made seeing an uptick in general too. So we want that report anyway.
Okay. Can you send us, or can someone send us a list of all the things that you'll be looking at in terms of assessing that? So is it number, whether it's owner occupied, well, the main house, those sorts
Yeah,
of
it's
things?
owner occupied for sure.
Okay.
That was part of it. It's owner occupied
Okay,
and geography.
okay.
Those were the two big
Geography.
ones because it was addressing that concern that developers would just be doing the owner occupied.
Okay, size, yeah, all that kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
we can
Okay.
do that too.
And you also need 2 sponsors. I'm assuming you'll be one of the sponsors. And
I'll go for
who
Zach.
else will be sponsoring? Councilmember Wilkerson?
Yeah,
Or
sure.
Councilmember Wilkerson? Okay. Great, thank you. And then next up is, Kevin Piconco is going to talk about transportation grant opportunities, rail crossing safety at TBD. TIB.
Good afternoon, Kevin Piconso, Integrated Capital Management. Here to brief you today on 2 grant opportunities that we have coming up for transportation-related projects and grants. The first one is referred to as the Section 130 Rail Crossing Safety Program. This is Fed aid funding that's administered through WashDOT. It's very focused on roadway crossings at railroads to improve safety and reduce accidents and accident potential. Applications are due at the end of August. 0 to 10% local match required. The reason for that range is if you meet certain deadlines in delivering your project, then they will allow for 100% funding of those components of the project. Typical project cost ranges that you might see in this program are roughly $500,000 to about $1.5 million. There's 3 different locations that I'm considering for submittal. Might submit all 3 of them or a shorter list. Freya Street and Havana Street, just north of Sprague for the UPRR crossings, and then Mission Avenue, BNSF crossing near Perry Street. Types of improvements we'd be looking at through this program and these projects are new crossing gates, flashing signals and warning devices, as well as interconnection and communication with the adjacent traffic signals, which is critical and required by the railroads. I'll pause there before I move to the second program. Any questions on that rail crossing safety program?
Questions for Kevin?
Okay, great.
I do.
Okay.
We're addressing safety, but we're not addressing accessibility. So for some of those areas you mentioned, you can sit for a very long time waiting for a train. So are we addressing that at all?
Not through these grants.
Okay.
I understand the issue. It's really a separate issue that we have to deal with directly with the railroads. Challenging topic because.
Okay, I just want to put it out there that
Sure.
that's still going to be an issue.
No, it's definitely on our radar, and I know our streets department staff have had
Okay.
ongoing conversations, and that will continue, is my understanding.
Okay, thank you.
Do we have anything in mind for this money right now where it's like, this is what we would be using it for? Any particular project?
Well, for this Section 130 program, these are the 3 locations where we'd be
Perfect.
looking at those improvements. And again, kind of crossing gates, flashing signals, kind of your typical rail safety warning devices. So moving into the second program, this is a Transportation Improvement Board. TIB is a state agency, so this is state funding. Applications are due August 19th. 20% minimum local match is required. There's 2 different buckets or funding programs through TIB that are both due the same time. First is the Active Transportation Program. This was formerly called their Sidewalk Program. They've made some changes and allow for bike-related projects as part of this Active Transportation Program. The available funding for our region is only $1.7 million, not a ton of money. Typical grant funding range under this program would be in the $150,000 to $500,000 range, so it tends to be smaller projects. Next program is what they refer to as their Urban Arterial Program. $7.3 million available for our region. Typical grant range is somewhere below $4 million. And it's not a hard and set cap or threshold, but again, it's projects are going to be under $4 million, typically in the kind of $1 million to $4 million range. Drilling a little deeper, first to the Active Transportation Program. It's, as you would imagine, bike and pedestrian focused. When they score your projects, they score them under one of 3 different, what they refer to as bands, and they're listed here: safety, mobility, and physical condition, listing kind of some of the criteria underneath each of those. The project we have under consideration that we're thinking of for application this go-around here is what we refer to as the CSO 26 to Maine connection. And this is part of the overall South Gorge Loop Trail system. And I believe sometime last year, Kyle Tuick presented on this project to council. These are just some graphics of it. So this is literally right behind us here. If the windows were open, we'd be able to see some of the platforms that exist today off the back of CSO 26. This photo here be looking west, so it takes off from those platforms, would take the route underneath the Monroe Street Bridge, and then wrap back up. Kind of small here, but this depicts where the trail would be. This is looking to the southeast from the west side of the bridge. Kind of wraps up to Monroe Street, adjacent to the Spokane Club there. So this would be the last piece of that overall South Gorge Loop Trail. We think it's a good fit for this program for a variety of reasons, the timing, the size of the project, and other factors.
What is the timing?
If we are successfully awarded funding and we can move forward, I think we could get to design and construction here over the next year. Big picture, a desire, I don't know if we can get there or not, but a desire is to have this in place in time for the 50th anniversary of Expo, tying into that South Gorge Loop, which goes into the
Okay.
park. So that would be the desire, if we can pull that off.
That was
And-
going to be my next question,
Yes.
so thank
So
you.
that's kind of what's motivating
Okay.
this particular project and this program at this time.
Go ahead.
And would this affect the zip line at all? How would it interact with the zip line?
To the best of my knowledge, it would not directly impact the zip line. I believe, from what I recall of that project, I think the platforms and such would be just east of here, would kind of come off that. But there'd be that relationship, if you will, for folks going down to access the zip line, certainly.
You will be able to drop water balloons when you use the zip line onto people.
Yeah. Then the next program, Urban Arterial Program. Similar to the Active Transportation Program, when they score your projects, they score them under one of the 4 bands that they have, and those are safety, growth and development, mobility, or physical condition. And I kind of have some of the sub-criteria listed there. And then all the projects, also some additional points or some scoring done related to sustainability and constructability. So 2 different projects we're considering under this program, and they kind of apply to different bands that I just listed previously there. First project is Palouse Freya Roundabout. We think this would score well under the mobility band and potentially under growth and development. And then the second project is what we have in mind as a package of street preservation or maintenance projects, which would score under the roadway condition band. So that first project, the Palouse Freya Roundabout, just as a reminder, that project is part of our traffic impact fee program included on that list. It's currently in our 6-year street program, was added 2 or 3 years ago. The total project cost estimating now is about $5 million. We look for a grant request of up to $3 to $4 million, kind of pushing up against that max range that you might be able to expect. And just wanted to mention, we do have some county support on the project. The county border is just to the east and the south of us here. We did apply for this project for the recent SRTC call for projects. Scored okay, but didn't quite make the cut there. So again, we're looking for other opportunities to fund this project. And then the second project is what we're just referring to as a package of street preservation or maintenance projects. This is pretty similar to some other grant applications we've had in the last year. You heard me mention some of those grants that entered our program, our budget program this year, the NHS Asset Management, SRTC preservation call from a year ago where we received grants. Same concept here, where we look to our near-term planned or expected maintenance projects as defined by the street department and try to put together a package of maintenance projects and try to leverage those dollars to secure some additional grant dollars, and now we just stretch those dollars further and advance our street maintenance program a little bit quicker. We're looking at different project locations spread across the city. I'm thinking of spending a package in the range of $4 to $6 million with roughly a 50-50 match grant request of $2 to $3 million. I have a map that I can show you here in a second, but here's a short list of a suite of projects that I'm considering as of now. We wouldn't submit all of these projects in total, a little over about $9 million. So roughly we'd end up with maybe a list about half this size, maybe a little bit more. And again, where are we pulling these projects from? These are projects that are already on our radar for near-term street maintenance. I will highlight, in case it's of interest, because Strong Road is sort of a hot-button item. Strong Road is on here. A little bit unique project. Just want to be clear that what we're looking at here is truly a maintenance project to deal with the 2 lanes that exist today. It's not the full build-out of the entire right-of-way. It's just dealing with that existing issue and problem that you see up there today to try to improve that roadway. And again, this is just a map of all those locations. So a couple segments on Perry Street in District 1, a segment of Lincoln Road. We have the rest of Lincoln Road that's funded through a grant, so this would kind of complete that stretch. A chip seal project for 37th Avenue, chip seal project in the northwest for Driscoll as well. There's some shorter stretches, but these would be grind and overlay type projects. The Maple Ash Couplet here in the west end of downtown, a segment of Stevens Street, just south of I-90, a segment of Lincoln, just north of here, as well as a section of Indiana, and then again up north, that Strong Road project. So these are the projects we're looking at as of now. Again, we'll come up with a slightly shorter list for the actual applications. So any questions on those?
Councilmember Borgelson.
Kevin, any consideration where the match funding will be coming from, or has that been factored in or looked down the road?
Yeah, so we'd be looking at our regular pot of money for our arterial street dollars that fund our rebuilds and that also fund our internal street maintenance. Our street department does roughly $5 million a year of their own arterial street maintenance. It's coming from that arterial street fund, so it's that same source, same pot of money.
Thank you.
Any other? Go ahead.
Just out of curiosity, the fix for Strong that you're addressing is about 1.2 million. What would be the entire cost of the full build? I mean, just a guesstimate, but just,
Sure.
are we talking 10 million, 20? I mean,
Maybe not 10, but we did some kind of back of the napkin initial estimates over $6 million.
okay.
Not to mention the wild card if we don't have the right of way we need there. So you're looking at some property acquisition. That's always, a wide range in terms of outcomes there in terms of cost.
And then just to follow up, were these, generally speaking, were these taken kind of in order that they are on our arterial street plan?
Sort of. We go down that list, and again, because it's grant and competitive, we're trying to look for the projects that might score a little better. So it'll tend to gravitate to some projects a little bit higher volume, principal roadways. A lot of these routes have transit on them already. So we're trying to kind of steer more towards that for most of these projects in the hopes that they score better.
And I know that maintenance and the traffic calming are different, but as we're looking at these, are any insights that we've been able to glean from any of the traffic calming workshops being implemented in this planning?
In terms of actual improvements, or
As we're improving them, is anything that we've taken from the traffic calming workshops going to be implemented in here?
I haven't been directly involved in the current workshops that are going on. I can just speak more in general that we definitely try to merge projects, if you will. If we've had identified traffic calming improvements through the traffic calming program that you guys have funded, we certainly look to package those together with a larger scale of work where we can. So I'd answer it that way.
Councilmember Kinnear, I'd just like to comment on that. We have not completed that whole traffic calming workshops yet, so I believe that will be analyzed and brought to us as what improvements could be or where our deficits are. So we look forward to that. I know there's 3 more the first week of August in District 2.
Any other questions for Kevin? It's your last chance. Okay, Kevin, thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And I don't need any sponsors, it's just info. Next up is pre-purchase authority and SBO for SPD vehicles. Councilmember Beggs, we've given you 10 minutes. I have a feeling it's going to go longer.
You're going to have the shortest committee meeting of the year at this rate.
We're not done yet.
Okay. Yeah. So anyway, this is trying to solve the challenge of trying to create agreement on how to fund traffic police vehicle acquisitions in the long term, but being confronted with a very short-term deadline. They tell us August 11th, there's going to be a brief opening where we can order them, and that it's possible that if we don't have that question answered of how we're going to fund them, that we lose that opportunity for 2 years. And so there was, when we rated as a council, police and fire capital as an ARPA, we had 3 members that seemed to want to do it, not enough to pass an SBO. And so this proposal would kind of put that to the side for a moment and allow funding authority using general fund unallocated reserves for now, but those could be supplanted by a SIP loan or other things if ARPA paid for something else, other things like that. So it would kind of untie the knot that's getting in the way of getting the orders in for the vehicles that have been really delayed for a long time by the previous administration, and a lot of the funding has, growth of funding that was agreed to previously wasn't done. So this would get that authority to Mr. Giddings to hire those. So that's the intent of it. It's not to make a final decision on that that's where the funding will go, but it will, on paper, give him authority to put in the orders. And then the other thing it did is it expanded it, that They also have the option, if they want to, they're not required to use purchase Mach-E's. We heard from Major Olson last time that Mach-E's could be good for take-home patrol vehicles, just not the hot seats. And the officers have been asking for more take-home patrol vehicles. And at least the news that I read in the last week, Ford is really ramping up their electric vehicles, and there's a likelihood that there'll be more of those available than the K8 hybrids. And this just gives fleet the option, doesn't try to mandate what they do with it, but it gives them that option. So those are the two things.
Questions? Go ahead.
Thank you, Council President. Not opposed to the vehicles. I'm a little challenged with the money coming from the general fund, as we really have no way to replace those reserves. And it would take it down, we will have spent 50% of our unappropriated general fund within the last 2 years. It started out at 20 million. With this purchase, it will be down to 10. So again, has the administration given us any other funding choices of how to fund these vehicles without going to unappropriated reserves? I'd like to hear that conversation from the administration, what they have to bring to the table.
Yeah, the only thing I'm aware of potentially is SIP loan funding, but the administration, to be clear, wants to use ARPA funds, and so they haven't proposed an alternative to that. We didn't have the agreement from council to do that, so this buys some time for figuring out that alternative. But I agree with you. There are a lot of financial challenges out there, and I've asked Matt Boston, our budget manager, to put together a snapshot of all the financial pressures that are coming on the general fund in the next 6 months to a year, and he's going to present that on the study session after we come back on the week of the 15th.
Councilmember Cathcart.
Yeah, thank you. From the input I've had from both sides of the House, it sounds like our finance people have some pretty strong concerns over the source of the money coming from reserves. I do too. I think we have to order these vehicles. We absolutely do. But at the same time, we are in a pretty, mysterious situation with the economy and with, the way sales taxes and other things may go in the future. There's a lot of unknowns there. And I really do think the prudent thing is that we cannot spend down our reserves. And so I think there has to be another source of funding. I intend to bring an amendment next week. It may not pass, but I will bring one that ties this to ARPA. I believe that is the best funding source. But I don't think it can come from reserves. I don't think that makes sense fiscally for the city right now.
Councilmember Bingle.
Thank you. Yes. Yeah, just to be very clear, I was incredibly frustrated by this process. So this SBO had been pulled from the committee meetings multiple times, 2 times, maybe 3 times that it got pulled because it says it doesn't have enough. As Council President said, we didn't have enough to pass an SBO. We certainly had enough to bring forward an SBO, and so I would like a little bit of clarification as to why the SBO was pulled, because looking at the process resolution that we put forward, the process resolution that you and I were discussing via email, I don't see any number that says this many council members need to put something forward. It needs this level of support, and I certainly don't see that it needs to be approved by the ARPA committee work group. And so I don't know if anybody has any clarification for me on why that didn't get pulled, but
Do you want to
I'm quite
answer that?
miffed.
Yes, I understand. You've communicated that to me.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm the person that didn't approve it for the agenda, for the council agenda, under my interpretations of that we set aside special rules for ARPA. We've done similar for traffic calming, where we have a group of 3 council members that curate and bring things forward. Doesn't mean that it can't be amended by the full council at that, but that was my interpretation of it. We perhaps read it differently, and as I told you, there was a few different options. One, you could bring a vote to ask the majority of council to adopt your interpretation of the ARPA specialty rules. And then the second was what Council Member Cathcart's going to do, which is seek to amend the ARPA. That's the quickest way forward, but that's the explanation. And when I made that determination, I emailed all the sponsors to that. So
Okay, so then my next question is, if the work groups, being 3-member committees and so not subject to OPMA, if the work groups are making substantial decisions like this, are we in violation of the OPMA?
I'm not the lawyer for the city, but in my opinion, no, because we're not meeting with a quorum. And it's no different than if two of us were meeting to put something forward. That's not a violation of the OPMA as well.
Right.
Three can also do that. If it was 4 people, then of course, then that would be.
But this work group being able to stop an SBO going forward where we have council sponsors going forward, that's not a significant power being imposed?
Just to be clear, the work group didn't stop it. As council president, part of my administrative duties are to decide whether something has complied with the council rules. So it was just me. It wasn't the work group that did it.
Okay. I think this is a terrible precedent to set because I think what it does is, without saying that we can't bring forward an SBO, even one in ARPA, that again, we do have different interpretations of the rules, by saying it needs to have 5 council sponsors to move forward or 5 votes to move forward. I think what it does is it's something that very much favors the majority, and I think I don't think that it's just bad. I think it's oppressive, and I think that it's something that needs to be changed. And I would love to have a conversation on how we change the process, because for one person to say, hey, we're not bringing an SBO forward when it has multiple council sponsors, I think it's terrible. I think it's really bad.
I hate this phrase, we've always done it that way, but that's what has happened. But I was one of those people that wanted that. So it wasn't, when you say council majority, I mean, the council majority shifts depending on the item, right? So I was one of those people that wanted to use ARPA funds for police vehicles. You, me, Councilmember Cathcart all said, yes, let's do that. So we didn't have a 4th and a 5th that would agree for that to happen.
We definitely had a 4th.
Well, that 4th person didn't come forward. When we did our assigning our little dot exercise, we only got 3 people that said, yes, we want this to come forward.
And again, I cannot stress enough that what we were told in that dot exercise was not, you need a certain amount of sponsors. We were talking about points. And again, I don't disagree necessarily with the process and how it came out, your reasoning for it, but that's not what we were told. That's not what we were told. And it's incredibly frustrating for the rules to change after it's already happened. If in the dot process somebody said, and basically the amount of sponsors that we get on this, I would have thrown all of my dots into one thing, as opposed to adding on, I think these other things are good ideas. I would have thrown all of it into one so that I wasn't additionally sponsoring other items for them to come forward.
So you thought you were playing checkers and we changed it to chess, is what you're saying.
What I'm saying is that we were playing checkers and you lit the checkerboard on fire and started a new game. That's what happened.
Okay. So we can argue about that later. What we have right now is an SBO. If other people want to make amendments to this, we still have the option of using SIP loan money as well, according to Matt Boston. So there are other options if you don't like this option. I think we can all agree, however, that we do need to fund these police vehicles because we have a window. And that window is going to open on August 11th. And that needs to happen, and we need to order, because what are we looking at? 2 years on the outside that we may or may not get vehicles. And we're not even guaranteed the number that we order. So I think it's imperative that we come together and agree on a funding source so that Rick can go ahead and order the vehicles, and police can get in those cars instead of walking to calls.
Absolutely. And I've been banging the drum for police vehicles since I got in here. That's been my only priority throughout all of ARPA, and still that ARPA priority is not going to be funded. We have agreement from both the CFO, Ms. Tanya Wallace, and Mr. Matt Boston that this funding source, while it is an option, is it's not only a terrible option, but it's a very dangerous option for all the things that we have coming forward, because we have $15.8 million in our unallocated reserves. $10 million of that is going to be going towards labor. We have $4 to $7 million for fire overtime. I mean, we have all kinds of things that are going to be coming out of this. We still need to talk about utilities that aren't funded. We need to talk about a lot of things. And so using this money from ARPA is without a doubt the best source of money to pull from, because the unallocated reserves, back to Councilman Cathcart's point, is that we are likely in a recession right now. Even if we miss the technical definition of it, we're in a recession, and pulling money from our savings account is a really terrible idea that we shouldn't be doing right
And
now.
so we need to come together, I know I'm going to get to you in a minute. We need to come together as a group and decide where we want the money to come from. In my opinion, we can't not do this. So whatever we decide, let's decide together, move forward with ordering these cars, wherever that money's going to come from. Let's agree on what that source is and put it to rest. Go ahead.
Thank you, Councilmember Kern. I was going to echo that. No one has been against police cars. So wherever that narrative is coming from, let's stop it now. It has been, how do we fund them? Based on everything you just said, Councilmember Bingo, all the financial challenges that are before us this very minute with the unknown. So we're looking at the authority for Mr. Giddings to purchase vehicles. The authority, we don't know if we're going to get them. We didn't get the last ones. So I'm hoping that when we get in the queue, we will be on the receiving end, if not all, at least part of those vehicles coming forward. So again, the administration needs to come back to us. I've always asked for a plan B. I've been asking for a plan B. If this doesn't go, what is the other plan? I haven't heard of plan B. So I look forward to hearing that. But again, no one's been against cars. It's just, how do we pay for them in addition to everything else? And yes, as finance chair, our recovery is uneven. Some have done well, some have not. And so our police officers are important, but the rest of our citizens are too, and what we ask them to contribute towards it. So,
And thank you. And again, let's just decide so we can move forward. Again, we agree on we need it. Maybe Plan B needs to come from us. Maybe it's us. I'm going to just put that out there. Did you have anything to add?
No, but thanks for the conversation. And well, the one thing I just wanted to think is that there's not a rule about how many people need to support something to advance. It's not a 5 or a thing. What happens is, under the rules, is the ARPA City Council Work Group assesses after a study session how much support there is, and if there is sufficient support to pass an SBO. So it's not a formulaic. I think a lot of what I've heard from you is formulaic points, that the way it's written, the process, that ratings thing is not in the, that's something that we came up as an exercise to try to get a sense of the support. And so the ARPA work group decides, based on what we hear at a study session, what we think there is enough support. And so that's why the SBO that is coming up, you'll see that, and you won't see fire and police in that. So it's not as formulaic as perhaps your understanding was, or how it seemed to you. But that's the thing, and I just want people to understand that. There's all different ways we could measure support.
Yes, it is important to understand that Council 1 is not represented on this ARPA work group determining what to bring forward. It is important to understand that in ideological differences, this side does not seem to be represented, and you can disagree with that all day long, but the facts are the facts. And the fact that the ARPA work group is determining, or you are determining, what comes forward, despite the fact that we do have a rule that says SBLs can come forward with 2 council sponsors, is not only bad precedent, but it's against our own rules.
Yeah, and again, the general rule is that two members can bring forward an SBM. The more specific rule, as I interpret it, whether it's for traffic calming or for ARPA, is that the 3 members who are on it, and one of them is me. I represent the entire city. I've lived in District 1. I've lived in all 3 districts. I represent the entire city. So to say that there's no representation from District 1 is not true, because I represent the whole thing. The 2 of you are not on it. We can only have 3 people on it. Otherwise, we violate the OPMA, and the council decided who was going to be on it as a group. That was a vote that we took. So I understand the frustration, and again, I've always aspired to try to show anyone who wants to, okay, what is the way forward to get a voter what they want, and there are a couple different mechanisms to get it. So I understand the frustration, but there is a way forward to get it.
So I would propose that this needs a little bit more talk amongst ourselves so that we can come up with an agreement on what the funding source is going to be. And I would say to Mr. Giddings that I think we all agree that we need to do this. Now we're just quibbling about where's the money going to come from. And I think we can come to some agreement. We just need to get in a room, padded room if preferably, and shut the door, lock the door, and come out with a solution. Go ahead.
And Councilmember Connor, I just have to say again, funding of police cars has been a systemic issue from what I understand over the years. So it's not just this council that's not funding police cars. Previous administration have not funded police cars to the amount they have requested. The mayor did something different with the money that was for police cars. It was not allocated. So we are here to try to solve this, but the challenge was not created by this council. We are the ones just left holding the ball to figure out prior administrations who did not act for whatever reason going forward to meet this need. So I just want that to be known. It's not just us saying we don't want you to have cars. That's absolutely not true. And let's share some of this responsibility with prior administrations as we go forward.
Respectfully.
And prior councils.
Yes.
And prior councils, yes.
And respectfully, I'm not saying that we're not going to fund the vehicles. That's not what I'm saying. So that's not coming from me. What I'm saying is that the process has not been fair. That's what I'm saying.
Let's get past that, and then we can act.
Well, I needed to address the fact that I'm not saying that we're not funding police vehicles.
Yeah. Anybody else? Councilmember Stratton? Last words? Okay. Lori? No? Okay. Anything else for the good of the order? All right. We are adjourned in record time at 2:04. Next meeting will be, Jacoby, when is the next meeting? August. Brilliant. Next meeting's in August. All right.
August 22nd.
August 22nd. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you then.
Time to meet.